Welcome back to the Nerdrotic channel, everybody. My name is Gary Beekler. I am live in San Francisco, California. I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is the Monday Nooner episode. Last week we had Doomcock on for an hour. That was awesome. But it got kind of cut short due to, we just, life gets in the way sometimes. And it almost got in the way again today. It was 2 Monday trips to the DMV. 2 weeks in a row. Not fun, especially when today's was a complete failure and I have to go back. So that's California for you. So in the title, you see there's a lot of a lot of stuff that could be kind of a downer. We're going to definitely keep this one positive. I was asked by RoboBrain 10,000 about James Gunn. There was some new stuff, and this is honestly going to be my final word forever on that subject. I'm just going to kind of move on from it because it's kind of depressing. It's a depressing thing. So, and welcome everybody in the chat. How are you doing today? And pretty much you guide the show. I lay some topics on the table. So to reset a little bit, for those of you who may be new, we do have some new subs, and welcome. And what's up, David Fox and Penn Farm Girl and Mary Ashmead and Persian Scribe and Morks and Grady Broyles and Bad Bunny. Tara, how's it going? I still got to work. Okay, by the end of the episode, I'll have your last name right. Aiva, something like that. Is that close? Yes, it's the Nooner, baby. So to reset real quick, I've been doing this podcast since January 7th, 2014. We've been YouTubing for full time for almost a year now, and it's been pretty fun. And I used to own a comic store. I owned that for 10 years in San Francisco, California. So that's, if I have any geek cred, that's what it's from. I was able to sell pop culture for 10 years in the 4th largest media market in America. Did pretty well. Got a house in San Francisco. Life is good. Life is really good. Had to sell it on December 15th, 2013 for a lot of reasons, which that's a podcast for another day. That is a podcast for another day. Planning on opening another shop here in a few short months. And hopefully the YouTube channel will be part of that. It's always been in the plan for it to be part of it, and hopefully we can do more stuff. We are closing in on 5,000 subs. That is so cool. That is so far ahead of where I thought we'd be. So that's pretty amazing, and thank you. It's humbling. I was talking to the patrons. We did a patron hangout. Patreon hangout on Sunday. That was a blast. A few of you were in there, and I got to see your faces and hear your voices, and that was just great. I had the best time. So we'll be doing that every other week. I'm gonna let a few more people roll in. We'll just chit chat in the meantime. Yes, there's some Star Trek Discovery. I had to kind of mine for that one a little bit. The Star Trek Discovery news is dried up a little bit. They haven't really given any plot details on the Picard show yet, although there's a speculation like crazy on that. We read an IO9 article on the Friday night show. By the way, check out last Friday night show. That was a blast. That was a podcast for the ages with Dennis and Susan. We had a good time on that one. So we read an IO9 article that basically said that Star Trek, Picard's Star Trek show should be like Star Trek's Star Wars: The Last Jedi. So I really had to get into I had to read that to try to figure out the mind of the other side of the argument. How do you even think like that? Now it was, clickbait and stuff like that. But after I read the article, it really sounds like that's what they're going to do with Picard. And it's going to be, to sum it up, it's a disillusioned Picard 20 some odd years after the Dominion War. The Federation might not be what it thought it was. Like his ideals are broken. And maybe he is in his vineyard muttering to himself in France. I guess that's from the ending of Next Generation. I don't know. I also have a theory that it might be, and this goes along with Doomcock, that he might be running some kind of academy or be an ambassador and overlooking some youngsters. And we'll have Star Trek 90210 or Dawson's Creek Star Trek, something like that. I don't know what's going to happen, but with Kurtzman in charge, everything is on the table, like everything. Like I'll believe any rumor at this point. Um, it does sound like crap, Dakota. It really does. And if you saw Patrick Stewart give the speech, for one, I hope I look and sound that good when I'm his age. No disrespect to Patrick Stewart whatsoever. Love that guy. Loved his portrayal of Picard. Loved his portrayal of Professor X. I thought he should have won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in Logan. That was one of the best performances. That was his best performance, in my opinion. Dakota Stanton, $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Dakota. And it was good to see you Sunday, by the way. So knowing STD's obsession with CW level aesthetics, the Borg are going to look like the Geth from Mass Effect or Trisha Helfer, right? Yes. Well, they at least have to change the look 25%, right? Isn't that the whole thing? Midnight's Edge did a video on that, and there's been a bunch of articles due to the split in the IP that it has to be 25% different. So who knows what they'll look like with the change of the Klingons, which was ridiculous. And they're changing them again, hopefully back to what they're supposed to look like. I mean, they don't have to go all the way back, but you got to be able to hear the actors act through the makeup. That was pretty bad. The new Picard series, there were 4 LEDs, right? Yeah, from the Star Trek Discovery trailer, is it 4? I can't remember the number of lights that were going to be, and that seems to be the new thing in freaking everything we see now is circumstances, or like a nebulous corporation is the bad guy. Like they don't have bad guys anymore. Like in Cloak and Dagger, it was it was what, Roxxon Corporation, and it was just the Roxxon Corporation creating some energy thing for money. That was the bad guy. They really give you details of like why they were creating it. Was it renewable energy? What was it? No, it was just there to destroy the city and take money. And that's the kind of, like we're going to, maybe Star Trek will, maybe, Picard will be fighting like a space hurricane or something like, I don't know what the hell, like space weather, a solar flare, circumstances. We can't have bad guys anymore. It might possibly offend somebody because, making the Borg might offend, I don't know, Swedish people, or I don't know. I have no idea. If I had to bet, I'd say the Borg will appear in the Picard show. They left deep emotional scars on him when they assimilated him. That would be cool, Mako. I would be down with that because they did. I mean, that was part of one of the best cliffhangers in television history. And I love the Borg. I hope I'm not sounding like yeah, the Bjorg. Apple Crow. It's the Bjorg. It's the Bjorn Bjorg. I always thought Bjorn Borg should have been the king of the Borg, and it makes sense. He was a tennis player. He wanted to assimilate himself to be a better tennis player. And then the technology went crazy and it created the Borg in a different timeline. And it's all from Bjorn Borg. That's right. So the Borg will only offend the Swedish tennis players. That's right. Well, hey, that's somebody. That's a higher percentage of some other people who get offended. Okay. So I love the Borg. I thought the Borg were a great addition to Star Trek, a great bad guy, scary. Voyager, I think, kind of ruined it a little bit by letting us know too much about him. I did way later see the Enterprise one with them. That was all right. I mean, yes, Enterprise was just all right. I like the last couple seasons, except for that last episode that was a train wreck. But I'm glad I did finally, through a lot of people suggesting it on the Star Trek Discovery recaps, I did blow through Enterprise, and I ended up enjoying it a little bit. So it wasn't too bad. It had a rough start though. Had a rough start. Yeah. So the Borg. Let's get into that. Okay, this is just a dude or a girl writing for the Metro, trying to Susan talked about this Friday. Sometimes you have to write something to put some food on the table, and it's a word count. So you've got to like, fill it with just a giant word salad. And that's pretty much what this is. This is from the Metro, which is, come on, it's like the New York Times, people. It's a very credible source that I don't go to very much. And where did it go now? There it is. Please talk amongst yourselves. All right. So this is the dumbest theory I've ever. Okay, but let's go. Is that shadowy figure this is from like August 1st too. It's old news. Is that shadowy figure in the Star Trek Discovery season 2 trailer the Borg Queen? No. I'll just like spoilers. No. Ever since Picard ran into the Borg, have been one of ever since Picard ran into the Borg have been one of the most feared and iconic race. What? Who wrote this? Okay. Ever since Picard ran into them, the Borg have been the most feared and iconic race in the Star Trek universe. The franchise's latest success discovery. What? I got to read that again. The franchise's latest success discovery just gave us all that what's in store for Michael Burnham and company in the upcoming second season, due out early next year. It's a given. I'm going to blow this up a little bit because I can't read. Bad eyes. There we go. It's a given. Us all in untold number of questions, including a fair few about Spock. But there are other things that have been niggling us all collectively. Chief amongst those is just that what the heck is that shadowy figure? The one striding towards Burnham while explosions ripple out around her. Now, before we go on, that's the shadowy figure. Y'all see that right there. What does that look like to you? Does that look like the Borg Queen? Does it look like Shiva? Or does it look like David Fox? I was going to say a butthole, but I think David Fox says right. It's a space vagina. That is going to be the villain in Star Trek Discovery, a space vagina. Yeah, so that's what caught my eye in this article. It wasn't Borg Queen or anything. It's it's Arseface. Yeah, Arseface is the bad guy in Star Trek Discovery. One interesting theory that surfaced is a slightly menacing figure is the Borg Queen, and it's springboards off comments made by Discovery's creature designer Neville Page and makeup designer Glenn Hetrick. Speaking in a Facebook Live not too long ago, it was back in May, the duo revealed they've already been sizing up the Borg for the CBS/Netflix series. I forget this is a Netflix series everywhere else. Netflix, how could you? It's got to look like the Borg. And that was established, Pace said. There's a particular aesthetic choice that was made by, I believe, Mr. Westmore. But for me, I think the coolest challenge, because I like to do this with any design that I do, is to make sense of those choices. In other words, redesign it. So there you go. They're going to redesign the Borg. They couldn't be bringing them back. Could they? Really? It's kind of a reverse engineering why there's tubes and stuff going in and out of all the things. It would be it would be to try and make sense, and that then contemporize the aesthetic and was audience demand today and expect. God damn. Hetrick added his own thoughts, saying, I also think there's again, it's me. So God, there's so many stops in this. So there's got to be a little room for a little steampunk in there, a little antediluvian something. What the hell's that? So not too retro, and not too gear, but there is a biomech feel to the whole thing. So to go to Geiger and steampunk, which, that's kind of what their look was anyway, and find a new way to combine it and maybe play the colors and bring the palette out of the grays and the blacks and find something rusty and cool, metallic tones. Then also defining the flesh in a different way. If some of those limbs are necrotic, is the tube pumping life back into them? Do they change color depending on how long they've been in the collective? How does this body stay alive? So he's trying to rationalize a lot of ways of changing the Borg. And honestly, I didn't think they would really bring him back, but it looks like they might. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What's going on, Comics Division? I'm reading an article on the Borg possibly coming back to Star Trek Discovery, or at least a wild theory, and they all base it off of this, which looks like like I said, a space vagina. There are so many things to play with. It's sort of just taking what there is and playing it with it. Michael Westmore Jr. did all the lasers and lights inside all the little LED components. That's something today with 3D printing we could push infinitely further. We can do more lighting, more moving parts. Sounds like people have been trying to figure out a way to bring certain old school nemesis back into the running. Launching off of this Reddit user, I love it when they refer to Reddit. R97R asks, why go into so much detail about that, about how you design them if you weren't going to use them? That's actually a good question. So maybe there is something to that. I don't know. How do you guys feel about them bringing the Borg into Star Trek Discovery? Actually, it would make way more sense if they did the space vagina thing, but who knows? Mectheus, maybe they could 3D print some good writers. What's up, Comics Division? Vagina Nebula, says Viking bitch. Oh, it's nice to see Comics Division in the chat. He's usually working or making a video. Sorry. Bad joke. Into Discovery, I don't know, into Picard show all the way, says Grady Broyles. Yeah, I would rather see them in the Picard show, and that's probably where that's going to land, because when the Picard rumor first surfaced, there was talk of him actually being in Discovery, which made zero sense, and then it turns out he was getting his own show. So this might be the same thing. Bring the Borg and Captain Janeway too, says Tara Ivia. Aiva? Is it Aiva? Did I get it right there? Give me a thumbs up or something. Yes, I think in the Picard show they should bring back. And you know, when the rumor was really early, it was a couple months ago. It was before Con. I read somewhere that there was talk of like doing a Picard series, and that way they can bring in a bunch of different people from all of the old series in. Maybe not as regulars, but as guests. That, you know, that might be interesting, but then I always remember Kurtzman is involved and Akiva Goldsman is running the show. Boo, says Comics Division. Truth hurts, buddy. Live streams count as videos. Yes, they do. They are videos. They turn into videos afterwards. Did anyone think like me that the Borg having a queen doesn't make sense as much as I love First Contact? Yeah. The Borg having a singular voice, while for the narrative of that movie, which I like, I guess a lot of people don't like that movie. I love that movie. I actually do. Yeah, I don't know. And I loved Alice Krieg as the Borg Queen. I thought that in a very sick way, she was kind of hot. So, but maybe that's too much information. Sorry. Yeah. Big fan of Geiger, I am. Alieva. Thank you. God dang. I'm bad. Hey, listen, you know, California public school, educated here. My queen is 7 of 9, says Love Pond. Yes, she was everybody's queen, and she's the reason it went 7 seasons, because that show was dying until she came around. They're all, we need boobs. Here you go. Mako says, I love that movie. Yeah, I like Star Trek First Contact. I thought it was, well, it's the best of the Star Trek Next Generation movies, in my opinion. Generations pissed me off so bad. The way Kirk went out. Silhouette animator. In a sick way, she was kind of hot. Yes, you can quote me on that. And hate to disappoint you, Gary, but the chapter thing for Discovery is Brian Fuller said he wants STD to be like a book. Oh, a book that we can sell to the used bookstore and hopefully get like 3 cents credit for, the new Expanse book. That's fine. As long as it's a very short book, like 100 pages, because that's about how much script was in the first season. Yes. Not too sure STD will get canceled soon. Mako, I'm not too sure either. What'll eventually do it in is, if the second season goes off like the first, I can't see it going on too long. There's, it can be argued, I wouldn't believe it, but it can be argued that there's more people that like The Last Jedi that don't like. I can listen to that argument. I don't see a lot more people liking Star Trek Discovery than not liking it. And the not liking it, what I will put in that category is the people who don't care. I think the people who don't like it, the people who don't care, far outnumber anybody who likes Star Trek Discovery. And if it had great ratings, they would have said something. Now, renewing it for season 2 is something they had to do. Their whole streaming service was wrapped around this, but they're pumping out more shows. Knowing how expensive this show was, I don't know if that was their first idea, is to, like, I know they wanted to do some mini series and stuff down the line, but they've announced a bunch of stuff. I think the controversy with Star Trek Discovery kind of pushed that further a little faster. I think it did. Canceled Star Trek Discovery halfway through season 1, episode 5, says Bad Bunny. Yeah, a lot of people did. A lot of people jumped off episodes 4 and 5, Bad Bunny. If you look at any of the recap videos for, ours or anybody else's for that show, you can see the view count go down on all of them across the board after episode 4. And I'm wondering if they use that with their research for a TV show now. I wonder if they go on to, like Twitch and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and kind of keep track of the people covering their show and see how the interest is with them. Cause I think that's a good way to, see what other people are thinking of. And honestly, you don't have to hire a marketing research team to do that. You can get a couple of youngsters, pay them $15 an hour, and I'm sure they'd be happy to do it. Just tell them they work for Star Trek. That goes a long way in Hollywood, by the way. Especially on the lower levels and in post-production and stuff. It's more about who you work for than what you make. Because it always looks good for that next job, because that next job is always around the corner. They don't, at least at the time I was down there in post-production, they weren't hiring anybody permanently anyway. Everybody was getting 6-month temporary contracts. You were getting like a 1099. There's a great super short video, just over a minute, posted by 75 on the problems with Star Trek Discovery. Check it out. I will, Pan Farm Girl. I've got my notepad for just that. Thank you, Pen. Oh, by the way, I meant to do this. Okay, everybody, I owe Pen this. So I gotta there. Certain patrons get the wrench. So, and I forgot to give Pen her wrench. So apologies. I doubt CBS can afford having 2 Star Trek shows at the same time, says Snake 56. I doubt that too. That's a problem with a lot of these companies, and that, oh man, that goes into a bigger problem Dennis and I have been noticing over the last year. that a lot of the big shows, a lot of the shows we cover, a lot of like good shows, a lot of stuff has been delayed out a year, and I think a lot of that has to do with the AT&T merger. A lot of that has to do with the Fox and Disney sale. So they wanted to have all their ducks in a row before they moved on. I mean, the budgets were all set up for that show, but I am going to be doing a video later today on Taboo and pretty much the lack of news from that show at all. And the fact that like people have access to Tom Hardy right now and nobody's asked him about Taboo. So how that wraps into everything is Disney is starting to see that problem now. They have to, pay for Marvel movies and Star Trek movies or Star Wars movies, bad nerd, Star Wars movies. And that's going to eventually make them very top heavy. And that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a big problem, especially when they're not the cash cows that they once were. Now, Marvel pays for itself and pays for a lot of other things right now, so it's not a problem, but it's going to be one down the road, sooner than later, because it costs billions to put that stuff out, and even that's a lot to Disney. Now, Disney looks like God right now. I love some of the stuff I see out there, like Disney can do no wrong, and it wasn't that long ago where Disney was in the shitter. John Carter, Tron Legacy were, huge disappointments with that led up to the purchase of, Marvel and Star Wars. Silhouette Animator, Runaway season 2 airs in December. They just announced it. I looked yesterday and I didn't see anything. Is it beginning or end? Because that's one of the shows we got the Orville coming back December 30th. So that's pretty much 2019. I know, Dalton. Dalton, I know. I will flog myself after the live stream. My God, I could get fired for being a nerd for saying that. And Daredevil season 3 will air in October. Ooh, that's good. I heard November. October's better. That's great. Problem is when with the Netflix series Silhouetted Animator, if they're not good, you dumped 10 or 13 episodes in one day and it's forgotten about in a week. Bad Bunny, I did like John Carter as well. It did not do well in the movie theaters, but I actually watched that with my buddy Derek Robertson and my wife. We loved it. I loved the movie. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just didn't appeal to everybody. And that's too bad. No, I have I own it. I own it on my 3D Blu-ray. And I watch it from time to time. I thought it was a cool movie. December 21st. So it's at the end of the year. Because it premiered in November of last year. So that's still a delay. That's good. I like the Runaways. It was pretty good. It was definitely better than Cloak and Dagger. And I think it was as good as The Gifted, I'll say. They were both on at the same time. It's funny that the Marvel just can't get their fucking TV shows on regular network TV together, but they've done pretty well on Netflix. I'm looking forward to Iron Fist season 2. That looks dope. That looks really dope. Love the Orville. Yeah, the Orville is like, that's one of the shows I'm looking most forward to. A bunch of other shows though, like Tom Hardy did an interview with Esquire. His only mention of Taboo is a vague reference to it's being worked on. Then he talks about Venom. Yeah, they haven't shot it yet. So they were supposed to shoot it earlier this year, Slurmy Scott. It has been picked up for season 2, but it's mainly a BBC thing and not an FX thing. I think they're in partnership. So I don't know if we'll see if that happens. I'm starting to think it's not going to happen, which really sucks because that was a good show. If you've not seen Taboo, go see Taboo. Some of Tom Hardy's best work. Mako says the Orville is the reason we didn't die from an STD infection by now. Damn straight. It was genre penicillin. Not sure you saw this. Man in the High Castle returns October 5th on Amazon. I did see that, Carrie, and we are going to cover it. I need to catch up on last season, though. But I've got plenty of time, but we're going to cover it. And I don't know why I stopped watching. I love the show. I love the show. It was a good show. Ed Brewer says the Patreon hangout video is so good. Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was fun. It was funny. Freaking movie Fanobi is funny. He's a funny dude. And I got to see Morks and Dakota Stanton. And Dakota's so young. I sorry if I keep saying that, Dakota, but I was expecting like a 40-year-old adult. And but that shows you how wise you sound on the internet. He really does. Smart kid. Smart adult. I don't know. I'm sorry to patronize you there. I didn't mean to call you a kid. So Dalton was wanting to co-host a show. I think I have a show we could co-host, Dalton. You could co-host, Dalton. So when Lucifer comes back on Netflix, I'm really looking forward to that. I kind of like the show. I thought it was pretty good. You know, it's nothing like the comic at all, but it was on a network, so it was kind of meh. I think if they go to Netflix and what just the stuff I wish I would have filmed it, but the guy who plays, I can't remember his name, the guy who plays Lucifer was on one of our panels, and he was talking about how much the show is going to change, you know, going to Netflix. And it's still going to be the general feel of the show that you know and love, but it's going to be toned up to like some rated R stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm in. And I don't think there will be as much episodes. Obviously, I think it'll be just 10 to 13 episodes, which means we'll get better, you know, like there won't be filler. So yeah. And I know that's up your unless you don't like the show, and that's fine. If you don't like the show, that's cool. I like Lucifer. That was a fun show, says Comics Division. It was. But we'll see. Lucifer needs to lose the repetitive cop stuff, says Zillow. Yeah, and that's what he was insinuating at Comic-Con. He did a panel. It was a panel of like all male heroes, and it was like for a get out the vote thing. So they just asked him like a bunch of inappropriate questions. It was actually one of the best panels I went to at Comic-Con. I have some of it. I'll post it on the Facebook page later today. It's pretty funny actually. But it's got the guy who played Havelock, who's now Magnum PI. It's got one of the guys from Orphan Black. Yeah, it was a pretty good panel. What was ye have little memory. The Expanse certainly helped besides the Orville. The Expanse more than helped Bad Bunny. It made Star Trek Discovery, you know, as much as I disliked it, it made it irrelevant. Like that they're so non-comparable. One is very disposable and one is television, classic television, like instant classic television. But lest we not forget the Expanse. You're right, Bad Bunny. Favorite Tom Hardy movie is Rock and Rolla. Funny and drama combined, says Slurmy Scott. Great movie. Lucifer is an interesting show. Just nothing like the comics, says Mako. Absolutely nothing like the comics. I wish they can do it. They can steer it back there. A great example of a show steering itself back was Preacher. I don't know if you guys, a lot of people maybe jumped off season 2, but come back. Season 3, last night's episode was so damn good. They're doing it right. In season 2, it kind of meandered in New Orleans a little bit too long. Cassidy, everybody was just kind of sad and depressed. They weren't bringing in as many characters. You know, like the most interesting stuff was Arseface and Hitler and Hell, which was only every couple episodes. And the Saint of Killers, but he would just attack and then get thwarted. This year we've got the Saint of Killers, we got, you know, Hitler, we got Arseface all together. I mean, they're not in a bunch, but then we've got Satan, who's freaking hilarious. Hair Star's been in it a bunch. It's been great. I rewatched the episode. It was so fucking funny last night, Mary. When the guy was too fat to get shot and the Allfather, and they're like, yeah, that bullet wasn't going to hurt him. He's got like 20 layers of fat. Yes, Mary, the Expanse is in its own category. It is. It really is. Yeah, go watch Preacher. It's funny. Forget all these disappointing shows. I want to see Gary Starr as a cloaked assassin poised to take out Kurtzman and Kennedy. Yeah, I'd want to do it kind of the boys style though. I mean, not the Butcher, but more of like I found some pictures or something. Um, yeah, kind of like what's happening to poor James Gunn now. You haven't seen Preacher yet, Lloyd? It's God, the first season is genius. Second season has two of the best episodes of the series in it, but then it falls flat for most of it, kind of picks up at the end. Series 3 starts out kind of slow and then it's off to the races. It's been great. It sucks that it's almost over. Yes, Dakota, I have to see the Meg. That might be this afternoon. So we were supposed to see it yesterday and ran out of time. Thankfully, we still have some good genre shows on the way to take out the bad taste of STD. We do. And the bummer part is just waiting, Pen Farm Girl. I mean, there's a huge list of shows that like really we don't need to worry about Star Trek Discovery. It'll work itself out. It's just going to be painful to sit through for a while, but there's so many other choices. When Counterpart comes back, go see Counterpart. Taboo hopefully will come back someday. Yeah, there's a lot of good. It's just being delayed. So that's great. I want to hear so they announced the Runaways today. I'm going to check that out. Runaways premiere date. Talk amongst yourselves. Very casual live streams, ladies and gentlemen. This one could go for a long time too. I got all friggin' day. Right, there it goes. Man, you guys are so good. You're on point. Oh, what? They're gonna drop all 13 episodes? That's a bummer. I mean, it's a bummer. That's selfish reasons, by the way, guys. It really sucks to recap. So we're only gonna get one, maybe two podcasts out of that. Several months after here, I'll share this. It's from the wonderful site comicbook.com, a bastion of journalism. I know I say that about a lot of sites, but that's how I feel. Oh god damn you and your fucking, excuse my language, motherfucker. Okay, several months after the first season concluded on Hulu, the second installment of Marvel's Runaways has finally been given a premiere date. All 13 episodes of season 2 of Runaways are set to premiere on the streaming service on Friday, December 21st. Along with the premiere date, Marvel unveiled the first synopsis of Runaways season 2. The new description confirms that the teenage characters will be actually running away. That was one of our biggest complaints from season 1, is they didn't run away until the very end when the show returns. And they will be doing everything in their power to put a stop to the pride. You can check out the full synopsis below. The Runaways have left their homes and evil parents behind now that they had learned to live on their own as they scavenge for food, search for shelter, and take care of one another. Our kids begin to realize that for better or worse, they're stuck with each other, and it's up to them to take down the pride once and for all. But someone sent a mysterious message to Jonah. Is there a mole in the Runaways? Meanwhile, Pride is focused on finding their children, and Jonah has his own dangerous plan in mind. And yeah, so the one thing this show steered away from, okay, it was not free of talking about feelings in hallways. It was talking about feelings of very expensive home hallways in Hollywood. They're beautiful homes. But there was still some of that, but they managed to be true to the comic book and capture the spirit of the comic book. Now, if you did not like the comic book, you're not going to like the show. So, and the show's not for everybody. It's Josh Schwartz, so it's Gossip Girl, OC. I have watched more of those shows than I care to admit because I am married and we all compromise at times. And sometimes you just sit on the couch and watch what your wife watches, because you got to hang out with your wife once in a while, you know. Uh, uh, Mary, The Expanse is a far cry from Preacher. How about Happy? Um, you can't compare Preacher and The Expanse. The Preacher's good show. The Expanse is like there is no other. I put The Expanse up there with the first few seasons of Game of Thrones. Um, you know, it's as a classic TV show, as a Breaking Bad. Yeah, Happy is amazing. Happy should be out. I think we should be getting a premiere date very soon on that. As a matter of fact, I'll pop a message out and see if we can get a response on that one. Again, I will try to text and talk at the same time, but I think we're going to see Happy right around Christmas. It's not going to come out. It came out last year in November. So yeah, that's another one that's going to be delayed a little bit, but that was a good show. Oh my God. Happy is high art, Grady Broyles, in a very tongue-in-cheek way, but yes. Christopher Maloney is great. And I'm blanking on his name now, but the guy, one of the guys who directed Crank and Ghost Rider Spirits of Vengeance are behind the show. So there's a lot of that element in it. The good stuff. But Happy is wrong in so many ways. It's in the same, for lack of a better term, vein as Preacher. And if Preacher was on, Preacher doesn't. I kind of don't like it on AMC. I wish it was on HBO, because they could go even further with it, because Preacher is really gonzo stuff. Happy goes there though every time, and that's on Sci-Fi, which is crazy. But they're dropping F-bombs, and there's strap-ons in inappropriate places. Oh my God, the scene with there's a scene. Okay, so if you don't know what Happy is the name of a little blue unicorn who kind of looks like a jackass, who's an imaginary friend of a little girl, and she is kidnapped by a very evil Santa Claus who basically kidnaps kids for nefarious reasons, and an ex-cop hitman is found by her imaginary friend to go save her during Christmas time. Now it's Christopher Maloney, and he's drugged out, alcoholic, corrupt cop who's turned into a hitman. His ex-partner is kind of onto him, and he goes through his little odyssey to, capture, to save this little girl. At first, he doesn't want to do it. He tries to kill himself, and he can't. And it gets so funny, and it's got, one of the best scenes. Just look for the rainbow. The rainbow. Nah, there's rainbow dildos, and yeah, it's funny. It's just a funny scene. I can't repeat it here though. Pen Happy is so inappropriate. I am surprised it passed through the thought police. Example: children boxed up for sale. Talk about James Gunn. Yeah, it's so bad. The guy who plays Bad Santa, who I'm forgetting his name, I'm sorry, we've interviewed him on this show. We saw him at Comic-Con, and he's doing good, and he won't be back for season 2, but if there's a season 3, you never know. Yeah, that's right, Viking bitch. When Happy comes across the rainbow dildos, he goes, are those the magic carrots that make the reindeer fly? Spoiler alert. That's not a plot device. Believe me, there's so much more in there. What's up, Lemac? How is everybody? Dalton, I don't watch The Magicians. I know a lot of people like it, so I haven't watched enough to dislike it. I will just say it's not a show for me. But a lot of people do like it. It gets very good ratings. It's pretty much their cornerstone right now. So, and I also believe that's what maybe possibly gave them the resolve to cancel the fucking Expanse, which is fine. Everything worked out for the best for everybody. Everything worked out best for everybody. All right. So real quick, the only reason I'm even talking about James Gunn again is because we talked about him Friday and before some news hit. Okay, so some news hit after I talked about it. So I don't want to sound like, not that my opinion matters or anything, because I don't, but I just don't want to sound like a douche or more of a douche than I already am. And so I had said on Friday night that, like, because there was a lot of talk of other studios courting him and him possibly returning, and Kevin Feige wanting him back, and not 24 hours after, like, it looked like there might be a chance he could come back. I really don't think so, but like, people were really fighting for him, and it looked like at the very least it was going to be very difficult for Disney, and it just got more difficult for everybody involved because some photos surfaced of his To Catch a Predator themed party. Now, again, I'm not here to judge people. I'm really not. It's not what we like to do here. Yeah, Professor Geek did a pretty good video talking about forgiveness and how it really doesn't matter with him. I kind of agree, not really. I can see where he's coming from. He said it. Professor Geek was saying it was purely a business decision, and that's what it is. It is, but there is forgiveness involved in the court of public opinion, and it looked like things were swaying late last week. Like maybe the tide was turning, and if the court of public opinion forgives, for lack of a better word, James Gunn, I'm not saying he would have come back, but his chances were better. We'll just say his chances were better. They are completely gone now. They are completely gone because of the pictures of this party. Now it's really irrelevant what I think about it, because it is. But Disney as a business cannot rehire this guy. If they did, you would, okay, so you make the actors happy. That's great. But there are people out there who, this might affect other Marvel movies. There's people out there who will go, fuck this shit. I'm not going to go see anything that guy does. And because you hired him, I'm not going to see anything related to what that guy does. And if there's even a minute percentage of that, as a business, that's got to scare you to death. Okay. Cause so what Disney has is a giant problem now. Because, Kevin Feige himself hired James Gunn. They are buddies. He's been a good soldier. This is old stuff that came up, that it was a lot. I can't defend any of it. It's not jokes I would make. But he's free to make them. He is, and whatever. But Disney is also free to fire him. And that's what happened. What James Gunn should probably do, unsolicited advice from your old pal Gary, is, he's got a lot of money now. So go make some independent films. Go be your own boss. You won't have to worry about Disney, and holding things over you, and go do your own thing for a little while. And I don't know, not tweet anything for the rest of your life. And, or if you're going to tweet like kittens, and puppy videos and nothing with a child in it. And maybe in a decade, like, hey, Mel Gibson came back. And honestly, what Mel Gibson did was not as bad as what James Gunn joked about, in my opinion. Everybody's, I am all down with forgiving Mel Gibson. He was probably in the thralls of alcoholism. We've all said crazy shit. I don't know if I've said anything that crazy, but I might have. I don't know. I was wasted. So yeah, with James Gunn, yeah, Disney cannot bring this guy back, and now other studios cannot bring this guy in either. And Grace Randolph made a great point that there was a lot of talk of Warner Brothers bringing back James Gunn, and they've had too many problems with directors lately, with Joss Whedon, and then their treatment of Zack Snyder, and that whole using his daughter's suicide against him, which was just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting of Warner Brothers to do. And so they don't want any drama with directors. There's plenty of other directors out there. Now he's a big name one. He's a talented guy at the top of his game, but yeah, you can't bring him in. It's just going to cause too many problems. So whether you like the situation or not, again, irrelevant. Like those pictures coming up, like, sealed the deal. Like that was the nail in the coffin. It's done. It's over. And it's too bad. It's too bad. All could have been avoided, but this will be a lesson for a lot of people. And Susan made a great point Friday, and we have echoed it here a lot. If you're working for a company, you're representing them all the time, especially if you put their name anywhere on your Twitter or your social media. So you got to keep that in mind. And it sucks because it kind of curtails what you really think. And the fact that he never thought of deleting those tweets kind of, listen, anybody who goes on YouTube, anybody who's a director, anybody's in Hollywood, kind of like attention. Okay. So, it probably never crossed his mind to delete these tweets because they probably got a ton of likes and laughs, and people at the time were like, "Oh, you're so edgy," and whatever. So it's like, oh, I can't delete those. They got so much attention, but now it's kind of bit him in the ass, and it's too bad. But that's the way it goes. So yeah, there's no way Disney can bring him back, and I don't think they should. And it sucks. So yeah, and Guardians will not be the same without him. Period. They can use a script all day long. His directing style was very unique. Now, he didn't come. I saw another video maker say that he came up with this current version of Guardians. I disagree with that. There's a lot. He used a lot of elements from comics that were written about 10, 15 years ago, 10, 12 years ago. Some of the Annihilation stuff. Now, he's added the music and other stuff, but can they live on? Yes. Will it be the same? No. Hello, Giovanna Dotlick. Just dropping by to say hi, doors and corners. Yeah, we're done talking about that's it on James Gunn. Like, I'm sorry. Sorry it all went down like this. It's too bad, but that's how it goes. What's up, Fanobi? How's it going? I was just talking about you. Yeah, so it's very sad indeed. But then we move on. And if anybody's like feeling bad for James Gunn, he'll be okay. He'll be fine. So let's get to the chat a little bit. Let's get to the chat. Oh, and the JP Grady Bros. What's the new Talking Dead? I saw Chris Hardwick's apology at the beginning of Talking Dead, and it looked genuine. It's weird that a bunch of people quit when he came back. I don't know what's behind that, other than they quit. But yeah. Grady Broyle says, Gunn I'm sad about. On the other hand, I believe Chloe Dykstra, and I can't watch Talking Dead anymore. I'm a little torn on that one, Grady, but the people quitting when he came back was interesting because that's a really good job. And to quit it that's a big deal. That's kind of a big deal. As hard as it is to find work in Hollywood, to quit like a very popular show, it's a big deal. So I don't know. I think they are going to use James Gunn's script in some way. Nihilist Shadow says WB goofed up Justice League so much. From what I hear, they hired Joss Whedon to lighten the movie up and thought it was too light, so they darkened up his scenes in post-production. Really? That makes sense. Oh my God. Within you can see within Justice League, like somewhere in there was a good movie. But at the end, you can tell they just like said, let's just get this done. It was missing a few layers of special effects, in my opinion. Chris Hardwick was crying. I thought he was crying, but was it alligator teeth? We never know when we see crying in Hollywood. Those people are paid to cry. Killmonger, I haven't seen the Meg yet. I meant to see yesterday. We're going to see it tomorrow. I've heard nothing but good things, man. People have been really talking that up, so I can't wait to see it. I've been wanting to see it just because it just looked. I mean, how could you go wrong with Jason Statham and a giant shark? I'm like, yes. It's like they've stopped making movies like that. Let's be a little ridiculous and have some fun. Let's have some fun. I was watching Mark Zickery. He wrote The Twilight Zone Companion, one of my all-time favorite books. He's got a Mr. Sci-Fi channel. He's crowdfunding his Space Command show, which I watched the first half hour of, and I'll just say I watched it. And but he made a great point about like what made him make that show, and he was talking about sci-fi, and he's like, sci-fi is so dystopian and fucking hopeless and dark these days, and we just stopped making fun, hopeful sci-fi. That's why the Orville like did so well, because it was just it's fun. So The Expanse is very serious subject matter, but it's fun. There's a lot of fun mixed into it. It's got levity, that it's but so much sci-fi is just so boring, or everything's post-apocalyptic, or we're on a giant desert planet with a hive mind bunch of aliens that want to eat us or something like that. Nothing like Fifth Element, like that's like a full world and fun. And yeah, we need more of that. So when we have like, let's get a big action star and take on like a ridiculously big shark and make 2 hours of that and throw in a puppy. Yeah, I'm down. I'm fucking down. What do I think of the Guardians of the Galaxy animated series on Disney XD? I thought it was okay. Silhouetted animator. I liked the animation was pretty good. But I watched the first few episodes and it was pretty good. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't as bad as Spider-Man. I didn't like Spider-Man. I didn't even realize there was a controversy with Talking Dead. Interesting, said JP. Yeah, there was the Chris Hardwick thing and Chloe Dykstra. But AMC did a full investigation and brought him back, but then a bunch of people left, which I thought was very weird. I'll say again, it is freaking hard to find work in Hollywood. I count myself very grateful and fortunate that I was able to get work down there. And I quit. That was the funny thing, is I quit. I hated it. And yeah, I worked so fucking hard to get a job there. And then when I worked there, I'm like, oh, this place sucks. I want to leave. Random game user 42. She says, I'm depressed in real life. I don't want TV to bum me out. I'm sorry to hear that, Random. That sucks. That sucks. I go to a lot of AA and NA meetings, and I experience that a lot, and it's tough. It's really tough, and it's a real thing, and it's not respected enough. And it's a big problem. It's a big problem that we need to deal with somehow, some way, with compassion. And so I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, and I feel the same way. If I wanna, that's why I don't like dramas. If I want to remember a drama, I'll just remember something from my life. The Expanse is everything, Mary. I am that guy. There you go. The Expanse is amazing. What I'm amazed by is I read the books, is how much better the screenwriting is than the actual novels. Grady Broyles, yes. That's why when Cibola Burn, a lot of people are, that's the fourth book, and that's what series 4 is going to be based on. Worry not, because we have very good writers taking on some pretty cool subject matter that they can tighten it up, maybe drop a character and move on, and then we'll get a good show out of it. I'm now Grady. I love some of the books. I like most of them, and I dislike one of them. They really did a weird narrative thing towards the end, which when I get to the reviews, we'll talk about. That'll be the most interesting one to talk about with the people, because that's the latest book. They did something really strange. I just discovered Zickery's channel. I agree with him. Star Trek needs to get back to exploration and discovery, not war and depressing shit, says my old friend, the official Dougie J. Yes. Yeah, he's a funny guy. I like, of course, Twilight Zone companion, buddy. Come on, that's what he wrote. So he, which is a great book, by the way. I think he's updated it a few times since then. And he is like an old school, like first generation nerd, like he's still a nerd. He's a 60-year-old, almost retired, flat out nerd. Um, he's like best buds with Bill Mummy. And he's got a lot of good stories on his channel. So yeah, go check out his channel, Mr. Sci-Fi. He's always plugging his show, which gets a bit much sometimes, but I understand. I don't think it's going to get picked up to series, but I got to give him an A for effort. He really did try. And the show wasn't terrible. Like the writing was good. It's just, I don't want to, he's trying to get it to series. So hopefully it's just like a prototype of a pilot, because there could be a good show in there. The opening scene is cool. I just wish they leaned into the Meg. Gore and ridiculousness would have been much better, says Movie Finobi. Did they go a little light with that? I don't think I've enjoyed a Marvel animated series since the Spectacular Spider-Man, says Amari Daniels. Yeah, the Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and the Spectacular Spider-Man were great cartoons. So the Spectacular Spider-Man had the best Venom origin of them all. They had Eddie Brock and him being friends. And then there's there's Eddie Brock basically thinks Peter betrays him over circumstance and the secret identity, and it's really good. Yeah, I was bummed, and they got canceled from the Disney sale. They were doing well as cartoons, and they just canceled them, and then they replaced them with inferior products, and that's what I'm worried about with the X-Men. CBS needs to suck it up and hire Ronald D. Morris as JP. Hell yeah. He's out there and he can write more than I don't know why he doesn't get more work. I mean, all he did was Battlestar Galactica. That's not much. That's nothing. He's doing Outlander. People love that show. I watched the first season. It was pretty good. Movie Finobi says, if Melissa starts snapping you with a wet towel, blame the Meg. Starts? If she continues. Movie Finobi. Shifty Ira, Stephen Bear is involved in Space Command. Are they? I know Doug Jones is in it. And I'm forgetting his name now. Robert Picardo. Yes. I want Star Trek to reflect the real spirit of Gene Roddenberry. He was highly moral and optimistic without ever shoving down the audience throats. Yes. But they got it in their heads. They being the owners of the IP, who may or may not be new owners, were spun that's not what sells now. What sells now is, Game of Thrones, conflict, subverting expectations, sex, incest, sex. Okay, so the last one, I'm okay. Like, they can put that in the Star Trek. That's fine. I don't care. I mean, I think there should be more sex and everything, but that's just me. Sexy is good. But, just doing that with Star Trek was stupid. I mean, we've said it time and time again. It doesn't fit. That's not Star Trek. That's completely changing your format. That's it's like Johnny Cash making a reggae album. Which actually probably would have been good. It would have been better in Star Trek Discovery. That's for sure. What's up, Man of Action? Yes, I watched Outlander, Pen Farm Girl, because Ronald D. Moore was involved. And the writer of Outlander said she got the idea from that story basically from Doctor Who. So I miss some of the 60s idealism. Can't discount the contributions of Gene Kuhn, the producer. No, you cannot. Oh, Comics Division is still here. He's it's good to see it still here, Comics Division. Don't you have a video to make? Oh, now it skipped down the damn chat. I hate it when that happens. Oh, there we go. What's up, Tim F? How you doing? Random. It's not easy, but there are people and help out there. Surround yourself with good people like us. Find happy places, inspiration. Good luck with your work on yourself, says Movie Finobi. Yeah. And random, you always have somebody to talk to in me. You can back channel me anytime you need to talk ever. I'm here. We have good people in here though. We really have. This is oh my God, this is a great outlet for me. And I hope for you too. Podcasting really filled a giant hole in my life that was like creative and spiritually. After I sold the store, I was really down. I was really, really down. So this helped. And it's been fun. The Sailing Coconut at Nerdrotic, really enjoying reading Nemesis games. Nemesis games is fantastic. I love that book. And that's like the last one I love through and through. The show can really fix some of the problems that happen after that. Slurmy Scott says, agree. Book 7 is a change of direction. Almost, it is. Yeah, it's an absolute new story. We'll talk about that. I don't want to ruin anything, but and there's no going back. That's the thing, is they really made it clear that we're doing this and we can't undo it. I don't think the show will use it, to be honest with you, Slurmy Scott. There's no way they could. Meditation and mindfulness, says Mako. It took me so long to learn how to meditate without freaking crashing out, without snoozing. It took me years. But it actually is good. I used to be really down on it, Mako. I was like, meditation, that's some freaking hippie shit. And then I got older and I learned how to do it. And it's pretty good. I don't do it nearly enough though, but it's good. The official Dougie J asked the Nerdrotic, should I read the novels and short stories as I go along or wait until I finish the books? Pick them up now because they're, well, unless you, I mean, it's going to spoil a TV show for you, Doug. So I would read up to at least, the third book. I would definitely read The Churn. So I would read to the first 3 books. If you don't care about show spoilers, I'd read through. That's what I did. But definitely read The Churn, which is Amos's backstory, which is so good. Okay, now I'm caught up to myself. Ronald D. Moore on Star Trek would be amazing. He's been on it before. He's done a good job. I think, yes, he. That's true, Mako. Ronald D. Moore is developing a space show for Apple based on the premise: what if the space race never ended? Love it. I'm interested to see what Apple's going to do. They're late to the game, but they got all the money in the world, so. Daniel Nolan, yes, CBS should hire you as a writer on Star Trek. You are qualified based on what they've hired writers on before. You could also work in the Star Wars writers' room. Daniel, how are you, Daniel? It's going down here. I don't know. I saw Man of Action's asking more. He's working with Mr. Sci-Fi and Doug Jones on the show. I don't know if I saw a video of Ronald D. Moore. I haven't watched it. It was only like 7 seconds. If he is working on Space Command or Space Force or I know it's called Space Command. It's not Space. Did I say Space Force? No, that's that's our. Yeah, no, we're going to be paying for Space Force. Space Command. That's right. Space Command, Space Force, spacey shit. You're right. Ion Trone says half the cast of Space Command is Babylon 5 and Star Trek. It is. It is indeed. Killmonger the Rebel 313 says, I still watch the original Star Trek. I do too. To this day, I'll throw on an episode once in a while. Absolutely stands up to me. But I mean, that depends on the frame of reference too. I mean, that's the stuff I watched when I was young. Doesn't have a name yet. It was ordered by Apple in December 2017, and that is Mako speaking of Ronald D. Moore's science fiction show, which I can't wait to see. Dougie J says, to know if Roddenberry was that moral. He cheated on his wife multiple times. A flawed man, to be sure, but a great idea, man. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's nobody's perfect, Doug. Yeah, remember the man's ideals, and also remember that he was human in Hollywood, had a lot of power, and it was the 60s and the 70s. So, yeah. Oh, 007, the 007 thing. Yeah. So that was Idris Elba put that thing to rest. So there was a lot of rumors of him being James Bond, and that is not going to happen. You know, and this mirrors. Ooh, I can't go to that website. So now I'm trying to go. No, his tweets spark. Okay, so first I saw they were against that his tweets were like, no, this is all. He was tweeting out and he put out a statement saying it's all a rumor. But now he's put out another tweet saying like, my name is Idris Elba. Idris Elba. There was a lot of talk, and he was asked to be Doctor Who at one point. And he turned that down. He would have been a great, this was during his time on Luther. He would have been an awesome Doctor Who. I would have fucking loved him as Doctor Who. But it didn't happen. Didn't happen. As far as him being James Bond, whatever. I'm sure. Why not? As you know, with the James Bond franchise, does it even work anymore? Or like, I know it can work. I know with the right writer and the right director and everything, it could absolutely work. But do the owners of this series feel comfortable making the James Bond that they need to make to succeed? That would be my question. The answer is no, absolutely not. Maybe, you know, in a few more years when, you know, this PC police thing dies down a little bit, they can make a proper James Bond with Idris Elba or whoever. But nah. After seeing Cavill and The Man from U.N.C.L.E., I thought he'd be a great 007, says Marks. Yeah, that's a good movie, by the way. That's a good movie. Space Command needs more publicity. It does. Needs a few more bucks, too. It needs a few more bucks. But there is a good show in there. And Mark Zickery can write. I mean, goddamn, that guy's written everything. Casino Royale was great, Grady. It was. So I know they can do it. Absolutely. But can they do it now? That's the question, Grady. Do they feel comfortable making it? They are absolutely capable of making another Casino Royale right now. But the current climate creatively in Hollywood, I don't think they would make it. You know, a lot of things James Bond are like very problematic, if you know what I'm saying. So I would still, Casino Royale was a great movie. It's been kind of, you know, hit and miss since then. I've enjoyed Daniel Craig as James Bond. they've darkened it up quite a bit. I like, Doug knows I even like Roger Moore James Bond because that was my first James Bond. Doug used to give me shit about that, but Moonraker sucks, but I love the movie. Okay, Jaws falls in love, and how can you can't talk bad about a good love story with people with metal teeth. Hated Skyfall. Yeah, I was really mad. The Quantum of Solace. Remember that parody song? The guy, I forgot who did it now. The Quantum of Solace parody song was hilarious. It's on YouTube. And it's just a parody of like what a ridiculous title that was. And how do you make a Bond theme song out of that? Yeah, Quantum of Solace was like an extended fifth act to Casino Royale that should have been cut out. People would literally explode over his womanizing, right? Comics Division. Yeah, and that's the whole point of it. It's like, do they feel comfortable making a real James Bond movie? Hey, dude, maybe that's what delayed Taboo. Taboo. So it's a period drama that takes place in what, the early or the late 1800s, something like that, and or early 1800s. I was 1814, I think, maybe. And yeah, it was 1814. There's a lot of 1814 stuff in it, and maybe that's too hard to make now. And maybe they've changed their minds. Moonraker was great. Comics Division. Somewhere around here, I have my Roger Moore Moonraker action figure in his spacesuit, and yeah, I loved that movie when I was a kid. I agree, Doug. Clive Owen would have been a great James Bond. I mean, you want to talk about and JP said that, talking to official Dougie J. He would have been a great James Bond. You want to talk about one that looks a lot like the book James Bond, throw a scar on his face. Yeah. I bet you he's been approached. He probably just didn't like it. I could totally support Tom Hardy as a new James Bond. Hell yeah. Tom Hardy can be in anything. I mean, he could play Mary fucking Poppins. I'd support it. So Sean Connery is the best, says Mary Ashmead. You can't argue that. The only thing is, like, when you go back and you watch the older Sean Connery ones, and these were movies made in the 60s, okay, and they weren't like A movies. The editing and some of the AR on that stuff was horrible. It was so bad. Oh my God. I can't remember which one. It's the one where James Bond is in with a bunch of New York gangsters, and this was this Goldfinger? I can't remember. And they turn out the lights, and you can hear a bunch of English actors trying to do bad New York gangster accents. Like, who turned out the lights? What's going on around here? Oh, it's like, it's hilarious. Go back and watch that scene. It's so goddamn funny. Adam West was briefly considered as for Bond after Connery and Lazenby bailed. That would have been. Could he have even pulled off a? Well, he kind of is like Roger Moore if you think about it. They have a lot of the same mannerisms. Dougie J. Can Adam West do an English accent though? I don't know. I don't know. I think they could transition from a womanizer to irresistibly charming to both men and women. Would work in 2019 and beyond. Yeah, Grady, that would work with the answer to all problems. Grady is a good writer. Can't find anything online, but I swear a Marvel comic character. There was a Marvel comic character named Moonraker. I honestly don't know, Daniel. Grady says, I'm still pissed Clive Owen was never hired for it. Yeah, it's a missed opportunity right there. Worst Bond for me was Timothy Dalton. Something didn't click there. Mako, I'm right there with you. I did not like Timothy Dalton. Woody Harrelson as Bond. He'd have a shaved head. I'm James Bond. Want to smoke a blunt? I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. They just sold a submarine car for $28,000. Thing was a piece of crap. Only had a top end of 24 miles an hour. From The Spy Who Loved Me, $28K for basically like a fiberglass shell, right, Bad Bunny? 24 miles an hour. Well, actually, that would be good for San Francisco. That's about your top fucking speed driving around this place. Charming and perhaps slightly comical would suit James Bond, methinks, says Serge. Yeah, it's good to it's good to change it once in a while. That's why the franchise lasts so long, is because it does get such a different take on Bond. So why not? Samuel Jackson is James Bond. Too old. Official Dougie J liked Dalton. He was the first dark Bond before Daniel Craig succeeded with a similar take. Doug, you were around me at the time. I didn't like it. I liked Pierce. I liked Pierce Brosnan. I really liked him as Bond. I liked him in all the Bond movies, even his really, really bad one at the end, Die Another Day. I even enjoyed that. And it was bad. I understand it was bad. Diamonds Are Forever. Thank you, Bad Bunny. I was watching some Bond, marathon, and that scene came on. I was laughing my ass off. That's interesting. Silhouetted animator says, and the Runaways showrunner said that there would be a big MCU tie-in towards the end of the season. Maybe the snap. I mean, that's going to be unavoidable. How are they going to avoid that on the Netflix shows? J.K. Simmons for Bond. Fuck yeah, Apple Crow. Hell yeah. Straight up do like a Never Say Never Again, except good. Doug and I saw that movie together. Didn't we, Doug? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm totally assuming, but every movie in the early 80s, we kind of saw together. Like at least from 81 to 82, right? And 3. I'm pretty sure we saw every movie together. Like Doug, he's my witness. He was with me. We saw Blade Runner, the theatrical cut, when it came out with my mom because it was rated R. And we fucking loved it. And we sat in a pretty much an empty theater, right? I remember the theater being somewhat empty. Doug's memory is better than mine because he's done much less damage to his brain, or not any at all compared to what I've done. Goldfinger is amazing because it's a comedy. If you go back and watch the original Casino Royale with Peter Sellers as James Bond, I have seen that, Grady, and I enjoyed it. It's got good music too. I've always preferred the more jovial Bond. Same goes with Doctor Who. Mako, yeah, I had never even thought about that, but yeah, the jovial Doctor Who's are the best. What is the talk about Idris being mentioned as James Bond? Yeah, there's a lot of talk that he's going to be James Bond, or they've approached him and he's going to be the next Bond. And at first he had said, nah, there's nothing to the rumor, but now he's kind of like, I think, just fucking with people on Twitter. But he's also been asked to be Doctor Who. And honestly, I think the guy kind of needs a hit. I think you could You could base a franchise on him. He is that good of an actor. He was so good in The Losers. If you guys have not seen, one of the most underrated comic book adaptations ever is The Losers. I love that movie. He was awesome in it. So he's good. He's good. I just don't think he's like gotten a good role lately. I didn't see Dark Tower. He wasn't very good in Star Trek Beyond. He was great in Luther. Luther's a great show. So I think we could still get. I think he could be like an action star. I really do. Doug says Gary's mom took us to a lot of questionable movies as kids. Blade Runner, 48 Hours, Trading Places. Yep. uh, that's right. What did your parents think of that, Doug? Oh, thanks for the super chat, Agent Future. Gary, I agree with you on Timothy Dalton. The movie License to Kill would have been a great with Daniel Craig. Hell yeah. So that's a good book. It would have been. And, you know, I know some people do like Timothy Dalton. Goldeneye was awesome. Love the diamond. Love the diamond faced villain, says Artemis over here. Yeah, that was like, that felt to me like a real throwback to the Roger Moore stuff. Like, let's be silly. Let's have some fun. I did it too. Blade Runner knocked my socks off. It was an empty theater at the time. It didn't get good public showing, especially when it had to go up against other movies. Yeah. Man of Action, I think everybody wanted Harrison. They didn't like seeing a flawed Harrison. Well, yeah, they didn't like seeing a mute, flawed, unfunny Harrison Ford. You know, Harrison Ford before that was just Han Solo and Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was a much more fleshed out character. He was humorous. He had a lot of charm. He was cool and moxie. Blade Runner, I think people were expecting to see like a balls out action movie, and that's kind of how they sold it to people. And they didn't sell it really as like a really deep, like morally questioning science fiction drama. And they didn't like seeing Harrison Ford kind of get his ass handed to him, being kind of weak. And that's, I think, what turned a lot of people off at the time. They just wanted to see Harrison Ford kick some ass because it was the fucking 80s. That was it. But the style in that movie, just the pure style, wins out. Greatest special effects ever put to film. John Bellman, $20. How are you? I was just thinking about you today. Elba was the only thing decent in the Dark Tower movie. I think I'm going to still see it, John, just because I want to see it. As bad as I heard it is. But yeah, I dig him. I totally thank you so much, John. That was such a generous super chat. So $20. I don't get used to that. Hi. Yeah, so Blade Runner, yeah, it was way ahead of its time at the time. View to a Kill with Grace Jones. That was like kind of romp from the 80s. Yes, Grady. Filmed here in San Francisco. Christopher Walken. Duran Duran theme song. James Bond is a Time Lord. He regenerates every 10 to 20 years, says Mark Mignata. Yep, that is true. That is true. He's a dope actor. Fuck yeah, he is. Yeah, Idris Elba does a great job in everything he does. You know, like there's certain actors out there. It makes me think about like what, you know, there's so many. There's like, what is your favorite favorite portrayal in a bad movie? Like mine, okay, is Tim Roth in Tim Burton's horrible Planet of the Apes movie. Like Tim Roth acted his ass off in that movie. I mean, everybody else was just going for a paycheck, and somebody told Tim Roth that he was up for the Academy Award that year, and he was fucking awesome in that movie. And the movie sucked, but he was like, it was unbelievable to watch. And that movie also has a really good soundtrack, but it's a shitty movie. Blade Runner, yeah, Blade Runner was the 2001 of its time. Bad Bunny. Visual masterpiece. That only, I don't know, like a cinephile would rewatch again and again. Blade Runner is slow. 2001 is slow. They're both awesome though. I can watch them, but normies aren't going to watch that stuff over and over again. The normies didn't understand before we even knew what normies were. They didn't understand Blade Runner. Grady Broyles, I could not agree more. The final monologue of Blade Runner, Tears in the Rain, is the finest monologue in cinema history. Yep. Harrison Ford was really a replicant. That got lost in the film. Remember the scene of him and the piano in the pictures, his false memories? Yep. But they just showed that in the theater version. There was no running unicorn to add to that. All right. There was just him sitting at the piano looking at pictures. And there was the voiceover, which I didn't hate. Oh my God, it just jumped on me again. There we go. Sorry for the silence. Let me get to 2049 shows he wasn't a replicant. I don't know if it showed that search. I got it was just replicants can have kids. I don't know if it answered it or didn't answer. I thought they answered that it was. That he was. I didn't like 2049. I'm in the minority on that one, but I thought it was kind of boring. And I'm a huge fan of Blade Runner. And yes, it was visually stunning, but it needed to pick up the pace a little bit. Now, what Ridley Scott did in the first one was it was slow, but his editing and stuff, it still moved. 2049 leaves it up to the audience, but it's a spoiler to try to explain. I think they just want it to be ambiguous. I think it's best not answered at all. Leave it up to the people. Yes, Man of Action, the one with Marky with Wahlberg in it. It was terrible. But Tim Roth plays, I forgot the character's name, but he plays the bad monkey. And he studied for the role, studied how chimpanzees move and how they would act. And he does this great scene at the end without spoiling, but because in case you want to watch it, there's an ending scene where he just acts his ass off. It's really and so I was telling the people who I saw it at the time, I'm like, God, he was really good in it though. I miss Tony Scott. He made The Hunger, and I just can't say enough about that film. Suicide sucks. Grady Broyles, Tony Scott was to me a better director than his brother. Not that matters. And it sucks that he took his own life. He had cancer and he decided to go out on his own terms. And that really sucks. Him and Ridley were close, and I guess he hasn't been the same since. I absolutely love Tony Scott's films. I love The Hunger. The Hunger is a great film. I love True Romance. It's one of my all-time favorites. Beverly Hills Cop 2. He's done some great shit. He was the main bad chimpanzee. He wasn't like an ape. Here, I'll show you a picture of Tim Roth's character. Here we go. It was seriously one of the better performances in a bad movie. That's a good subject for a future podcast. It's like, what's the best acting job in a bad movie or best soundtrack to a bad movie? maybe I listen. I always thought he was more of a chimp looking than an actual ape, but maybe there's both. I don't know. Here's a better picture if I can go there. Yeah, that's good looking armor too. I forgot that Tim Burton came in as a hired gun. Doug will probably know, as a hired gun on the movie. It was supposed to be directed by somebody else, I believe, at some point. So he came in to kind of finish up the job. And I am a massive Planet of the Apes fan of the original movies. The newer movies are good. They're good. I don't totally love them though, like other people do. But they're good. They're solid movies. And Matt Reeves taking on Batman is exciting. That is good. I was thinking today when I was on the treadmill, it's like everybody loves. Hey, I love Burton's Batman. I was watching Batman Returns last night. I fucking love Batman Returns. But like, what if the biggest what if is when the Batman rumors were out and they were still choosing a director, and me and my nerd friends were out, like we were out actually talking to each other about like who should we get to direct it and stuff. I think I wanted Alec Baldwin to be Batman or Kurt Russell. And I want it to be directed by John McTiernan, which I still think would have been a better movie. But that's me. Grady Broyles says, I like Ben Affleck's Daredevil. That's a great one to bring up, Grady Broyles, because the director's cut is a better film. Jon Favreau's Foggy Nelson is a great performance in a bad movie. But I do enjoy that movie. I do. I like it. Flaws and all. At the time, there was not a lot of superhero movies to compare it to as well, Grady. So a lot of people did like it. A lot of people did like it, but Jon Favreau was amazing as Foggy Nelson in that. Actually, we've gotten like 2 great Foggy Nelson performances. Omega Man. Oh God, yeah, Omega Man. Fuck yeah. I Am Legend. Oh, my son, Logan. Okay, Logan Tiberius, my son, my baby boy, who's now 12, so he's not a baby. He's almost as tall as his mom. So he's mainstream now, but he's a little bit on the spectrum. I've talked about it before on the podcast. So he's doing great. He's a great kid. Love him to death. I think you could more put him in the category of kind of an uber nerd, kind of strange, kind of like his dad. So I don't think there's any problems. And it's weird watching him go through the same stuff I did creatively when I was his age. Like he's really into writing his own stories and making his own comic books right now. And I was like at 10, 11, Doug can testify. I used to make these Super Gary comic books when I was like 10, 11 and 12. And they're ridiculous. And yeah, but he's doing that now. And Omega Man makes me think that my son is obsessed with the story I Am Legend. He read the book. He can't stop talking about it. He says, this is really the greatest book ever written, Dad. I'm like, I know. And then a little tear comes out because he's reading I Am Legend at 12. I'm like, I'm doing so well as a father. I'm not gonna break my arm, pat myself on the back, but yeah, I didn't read I Am Legend until I was like 29. So I mean, he's reading it at 12, and yeah, Richard Matheson. It's like he's so far ahead of the game, but now he wants to like write his own stories. Now he gets inspired by it, and yeah, it's so fucking cool to see my little nerd growing up. Yeah, oh my god, the original Matheson story I Am Legend is amazing. It is such a long fucking rad and honestly, guys, he wrote some of the best Twilight Zones. Like they're right up there with Rod Serling's. You can't argue that. Okay, I give my right nut to read those Super Gary comics again. I know. A nuclear power plant was threatened in almost every issue. So 80s, yes. So the climax of every issue was stopping the nuclear power plant. And the bad guys were all the guys I hated in school. Like there was a guy named Rob, and I called him Rotten Rob, and it was I was really mean. It was terrible. It was very cathartic though. So the only difference between Super Gary and Superman was when I put my glasses on, nobody recognized me. There you go. Yeah, a little narcissistic too, but yeah, I had to, work that shit out when I was 12. Okay. Um, I wrote, oh my God, binders of Super Gary comics. It was ridiculous. Yeah. Uh, you guys really give Ann Serling a follow on Twitter. Hell yeah, will do. Everyone has to go through their objectivist phase. Just sure he doesn't stay there. I'm not sure if he should be encouraged or dissuaded from reading Atlas Shrugged. Oh, I'll let him try to find that on his own, but I might recommend it, James. You got it. There's certain books you have to read. He's already read 1984, and he found that one on his own. So yeah, he went through a reading phase and he burned through Harry Potter, and he was like, that was pretty good, but I like The Hobbit better and Lord of the Rings. So he burned through that. And now he went to more sophisticated stuff, as he says, to going to I Am Legend. And yeah, it's rad. It's good to see because he's down in books like way more than I did as a kid. I was reading comic books and stuff. Asimov is next. Hopefully I can, and definitely Dune. That's the book I've had the hardest time with. So, but yeah, he dug The Hobbit. He dug The Hobbit. So he's doing good. God, I wish my son read books. You sound like my mom, Mary. So like, not every kid. The Martian Chronicles. Oh my God, yes, Grady, absolutely. Such good suggestions here. Yeah, I'm so glad he is the older one. Doesn't read books very much, but the younger one does. So it's hit and miss. And Super Gary, did you have dorky glasses and the beard? No, just dorky glasses. I was 12, so I had a dorky peach fuzz. What's my opinion on DuckTales, Gary? DuckTales were great. I freaking love DuckTales. Ask Lamac. Yes, I fucking love DuckTales. Nothing bad to say about those. Now I was pretty ripped when I was watching a lot of those cartoons, but that doesn't take away from the enjoyment. Actually, I think it enhances it a little bit. That was a long time ago though. I remember one time I was so fucking wasted. We were watching the Transformers movie, the one where, spoilers, Optimus Prime dies, and we were all crying. We were all, that was so funny. Make sure he stays with Frank Herbert's Dune books. The new ones by his son are utter crap, in my opinion. Says John Bellman with $10. John Bellman. John Bellman, your Blu-rays are on the way, sir. So you should be receiving them any day now. I sent them Friday, 3-day priority mail. So I would say tomorrow, maybe. So keep an eye out for those, and thank you again for participating in the Expanse stuff and being super generous and awesome. And we love having you in this community, with Random and Doomcock. By the way, I haven't mentioned Doomcock. Shout out to my friend Doomcock. I haven't talked to him in a few days. I hope everything is great. Sometimes no news is good news. Maybe he's just busy building his robots, keeping his eye on the prize. And that's what we want Doomcock to do. All hail Doomcock. DuckTales taught me everything I need to know about monetary policy. Says joint specialist, right? I wish I could say that, but honestly, it was dealing drugs. But Nothing, no math class could teach me what doing drugs taught me. Doomcock is good. He's doing more videos. Yes. And making robots. I did not watch the Silverhawks cartoon, Tara. Was it good? Why do I not remember that? Hang on. I got to look at that one now. That one might've just gone down my memory hole there. Silverhawks cartoon. Oh, whoa. Okay. Oh, wow. I remember. Yeah, that was good. I just don't remember much of it. I just had to see it. That's what happens when you get old. Just hung out with him on the power hour today. Yeah, sorry. I meant to go in that, but yeah, errands. God damn it. I'll catch one of those eventually, random. What are they doing to Dune exactly? What they're doing to Dune is exactly what Discovery did to Trek and going on for 20 years. Oh, that's depressing. I'm sorry, Dune fans. Doomcock said he would be away for about a week. Hey, robots will not build themselves. Okay. And plus, he's got to keep, Harvey trapped all day, listen to his crap. Yeah, I don't envy Doomcock right now. Although Independence Day could be seen as modern interpretation of War of the Worlds. It could, and it's got a great speech in it. I love Independence Day. YouTube needs a Doomcock emoji. Yes, absolutely. JP, become a patron and you can join our next one. OMG. The current Spidey cartoon just introduced a Superior Spider-Man arc on a cliffhanger. It's going on hiatus for a year, LOL. Really? Oh, not the Superiors. Oh, God. That was happening the year I sold my comic. I was pretty done with Spider-Man by then. So at that point, I was like, what the hell? I mean, I don't care. For anyone who dislikes Dan Slott, that sucks. I guess that's a good point to bring up another thing in the title here. This is a little depressing, but I have some thoughts on this. Some other guys have done some videos on this, of course, so that's why I'm not going to do an entire video subject on it. Peter Samedi, who runs Alternate Comics, said, "What a depressing morning. I am sitting at a postcard to comic shops that carry our comics, and I've had to remove 15 of them from our list because they've gone out of business in the past month. But by all means, comic industry, let's keep doing what we're doing, right?" It's nice to hear somebody who's a publisher, even if it's smaller, say that. That's actual growth. I'm going to try to look at the positive end of this. Is like somebody of power has acknowledged there's a problem. Because up until this point, it's been, oh, well, digital sales are good, or there's libraries who buy our books and blah, 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 bullshit and da. So you tack those 15 on to the 50 we lost last year. That's 65. And apparently that was just 15 from his list of 300. And that was just his list of 300. He was just looking at his first 100. And that's 15 stores. That's 15%. And that was pointed out in another video. So it could be more. I know of off the top of my head 3 stores that are within the state that are in trouble and either for sale or they're going to go. And it's bad. Now, first and foremost, what kills comic stores is people stealing digital. That doesn't help. But this is bad. This is the worst problem comics have ever gone through. They basically, it's become an insular club that's become nasty, and we all try to separate the art from the artist, but it's gotten almost impossible and unavoidable. That's why I don't follow any real comic creators on Twitter, just because I've already been through that. I don't want to go. It'll just end up me hating comics, and I don't want to do that. It's a medium I've loved all my life. So something really has to be done. There are people doing some stuff on the side. They're basically having to go out on their own and do Indiegogo's and stuff like that, and that's awesome. That's great. Is it going to save the industry? I don't know. We need comic shops. And there's a huge, I mean, they've got a hard enough time anyway. Like, kids don't read as much, and there's video games and there's a lot of other stuff, but comic shops are like a beautiful place to be. They're a beautiful thing to have. You go in, you hang out. It's like being in this chat, but like actually seeing the person, and you could still have that place. They don't cost a ton of money to run. That's the thing. The thing is, like, it's pretty easy to run one. Like, I did one for 10 years. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it's, it requires a lot of work, but you can really, as an owner, do this balancing act and survive on not much. Because the markup's pretty decent, but it's just getting bad now. So comic shops, what we're seeing is a lot of comic shops that were, in the medium stage. There's 3 stages of comic shops. Of course, there's the really small one that are run by like one guy, maybe a helper. Then there's the medium one where it's got 1 or 2 or 3 owners who are in a co-op, and they have a couple helpers. And then there's the really big ones. The medium ones are in the most trouble. You can't get employee. San Francisco is going to be $15 for pretty soon for minimum wage, and honestly, that's not enough to even rent a part of a room here right now. And it's just going to be too tough. The best way to own a comic shop, unsolicited advice, is just run it by yourself. Just open 5-6 hours a day, do what you can, maybe close 2 days a week so you don't burn yourself out. That's the best way to do it. Just run it by yourself. And but these medium places that are, we're going to be losing employees. We're going to be losing more shops. It's not going to get better. And it's because the content sucks right now. It's like horrible. DC's doing okay, but Marvel's like, the art is bad. The writing is bad. And on top of all that, the creators are nasty. They're nasty people who, like attack fans and stuff, and that's not going to help anything. So it's very sad because I am a former comic shop owner, and I hate to see this. It breaks my heart. I know what these comic shop owners are going through. It was hard for me to sell my store. I can't imagine it like having to close. It was like one of the hardest decisions I had to do in my life. It took me a year to get out of the fucking, I was down in the dumps, man. And, got out of it. I'm happy now, but even seeing this, and it reminds me of what I went through, and like all the work that goes into all the money, all the time, losing a comic shop is like, it's horrible. It's like losing a business is horrible. I mean, I can't, but comic shops, it's such a passion thing. It is kind of different because it's not money, and because if you want to go into business for money, comic shop is like the last thing you want to do. You can make a living. Okay. You can make a decent living. You can. I managed to do it. Got a house, but it's like, you're never going to get rich. And it was cool. I didn't care. I was so fucking happy in there. Yeah. Breaking news, says Bad Bunny, the golden rule, no politics. Yeah, that's it. That's why that was the one rule in my shop. And well, that, and there were some bathroom rules, some obvious common sense bathroom rules. And in my shop, you were allowed to read the comics. I didn't care. If it was like a really expensive Silver Age, it depends. But like if it was on the shelf or outside on the floor, you could read all the comics. They were meant to be read. If one got destroyed, so what? Who cares? But yeah, the one rule was no politics, and everybody got along, and it was easy to enforce because nobody really wanted to talk about it. Nobody came into the comic store going blah 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 politics. That's exactly the opposite reason why they came into a comic store. They came into a comic store to not think about their job or anything. And it's not all about that. They also came in there because they love the stories. They love the characters. They love the stories. And when these characters are being used to push whatever, or they're not respected. And the worst offense is they're not respective and nothing matters. And who cares? This character is just silly. So it lends to the argument of, like the poser. Okay. It leads because when somebody comes in and shows no respect for the character, that's when people are calling you a poser. That's it. It's not that you're new. Nobody cares if you're a new nerd. Okay. We love new nerds. We want them to come in. We will help them. But if you come in as a new person or a YA author and stuff and just automatically start changing stuff because you think it's problematic and you came into this industry without respecting anything from its 75 to 100 years past, then it makes you a poser. It just does. Okay. So that's what's been happening. Marvel needs to fire everybody. Pretty much. Top down. Boom. Slabluski down. Gone. They need to, or DC just needs to take over at this point, and they're doing some stuff that's questionable too. So I don't know. I'm still going to open a shop because my shop's not going to rely too much on new stuff. That's the whole deal. So we'll see. And I'll be a little thorn in their side too. I will not miss a single retail meeting. Trust me. I didn't miss them before, and I won't miss them now. So let's get to the chat. Sorry, that's the comic thing. That's a bummer to see, because I did a video on 50 comic shops closing, 7 months ago. Captain Politics, no. No, you know what? I didn't even carry those presidential issues they came out with. I mean, if a subscriber came in and wanted it specifically, of course, but it did not go on my shelf. Oh my God, it's hard enough, Apple Crow in San Francisco. People wear their politics on their sleeve here. Like, it's a very political town. And yeah, it wasn't easy, but I pulled it off. So Comic Pop had a theory that DC and Marvel actually do not like comic shops, and that they would make more money if they sell comics in Walmart and other huge shops like buy bread and milk. They would. There's a point there, but actually they can both exist at the same time, in my opinion. But we need comics in Walmarts and stuff like that. That needs to happen. The Marvel, I know for a fact, does not like comic shops. DC used to. I don't know if they do anymore. My local shop is already trying to get themselves into streams of funding, such as gaming, and use sci-fi books and back issue comics. Yeah, that's what comic shops used to be based on. You can't be like the newsstand comic shop where you just sell new stuff and some pops. You're gonna die. That's not gonna. You have to have a back issue. That's what comic shops started. They didn't used to sell new comics. They just sold old ones. That's where they started. And right here in San Francisco Comics, Gary Arlington. So yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to diversify now. Bring back heavy metal. Heavy metal's still around. Did they get rid of? I mean, I haven't seen one in a previews in 5 years. Well, I have a previews right down there, but I love heavy metal. If Playboy and Hustler start their comics, I might read them. Playboy's not around anymore. Good articles, right? Yeah, heavy metal's still going. Heavy metal. Oh my God, I love that movie so goddamn much. Yes, Playboy used to have cartoons. God, honestly, I haven't thought about Playboy in forever. YouTube vlog life. Bye, Gary Chat. Bye. Are you out of here? My opinion is that the SJW stuff is mostly people who just can't write well enough to not make it part of the background, so it sounds preachy. Yeah, that's it. It's lack of talent. Yeah, as far as politics and stuff, the politics for creators have always been the same for years. That has not changed. It's awareness, self-awareness, respect of another side, respect of diversity of thought, and just being a good writer. And it's just the lack of talent, and that's because Marvel won't pay. And it's not like they don't have the money. They do. Have I ever considered writing a book? I have written a few comics, a few self-published comics. I have considered writing a book. Maybe in when I'm old. Well, I am old. Maybe soon because I'm old. I have. But it's more of a kind of like what happened in my dark period of life, because a lot of strange, weird, and dark things happened, and I climbed out of it. I was able to succeed where very few people come back from where I was in. And I've actually, people have pushed me to it, but I think I'd probably just do a graphic novel, Alexis. That'd be more my speed. I'd be able to write a graphic novel someday, maybe. My friend wrote a book. I can plug it right now. Let me find it. On comic collecting, Jamie Newbold, The Forensic Comicologist by Jamie Newbold. This is one of my best friends, and he taught me how to grade. He taught me everything I know. He owns San Diego, or he owns Southern California Comics down in San Diego, California. It's a wonderful shop. It grows every year. He had his best year ever at Comic-Con. He had his best year ever as a shop. So amongst all the shops closing, he's succeeding. The question is why? Well, that's the model I'm following. It's the model I followed when I opened a shop here, and it's a successful one. It's a very successful one. If you're ever in San Diego, make the trip. Go see Southern California Comics. You will not regret it. Jamie is a wonderful guy. He's an ex-police officer. So that's where the title comes from. Check out his book. It's on Amazon, and it's about, comic collecting. So if you want to get into retailing or comic collecting, this is the man you listen to right here. Neil Gaiman is one of the best writers in the comic book industry, period. Yeah. End of story. Without a doubt. And funny thing is, silhouetted animator, that Sandman is not my favorite thing by him. I like a lot of other things. I'd say, I mean, my favorite thing by him is a book he co-wrote. And I kind of like his books better, but Books of Magic was my favorite comic by him. That was great. That's why Cobra Kai is so good. It showed several angles and called them all out on their shit. Apple Crow, hallelujah. Yes. I'm rewatching Cobra Kai right now. I cannot wait for season 2. Hopefully that's going to come out soon-ish. And that's how, I mean, there's been a lot of YouTubers that have done videos on this. That's how you do a remake. That's how you bring something back with the old characters and new. That is a case study for it. Like that's, that should be the blueprint from here on out, like how you do that shit. Last Playboy I ever bought was the 40th anniversary. I had the last one. The only one I ever collected, because I was never like into the book very much, was when the Battlestar Galactica one, number 6. Neil Gaiman is what James Hez says. Neil Gaiman is one of the best. Alan Moore is one of the best. They have done nothing of merit in years. Same with Wade and Bendis. They fell off the cliff. Yeah, James, I think it's we all just have our time creatively. Not everybody can crank stuff out consistently. You have your sweet spot in your career. Not unlike a baseball player. He goes through his peak and then he goes through it. You can last Wade is weird. Wade had a couple of great times as a writer and then a couple of really awful times. And I think it's all where his headspace is. Not to get too far into his psyche, but Bendis had his time, and he fell off like hard. Alan Moore, yeah, fell off a long time ago. And honestly, yeah, I haven't read any of Neil Gaiman stuff. He doesn't come out with stuff that frequently either. Honestly, American Gods was like the last thing I read of his. Oh no, his that Sandman thing he did a few years ago, which I completely forgot about. So that kind of backs up your point. Trisha Helfer, thank you, Grady. Yes. And no, Moore is still hustling. His problem is he burned all his bridges. His books are over at Avatar, a shitty company now. And he's still doing yeah, comics. Wait, so he's still doing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right? There's another one coming out, the League of Extraordinary Ladies or something like that, whatever it's called. Yeah, Comics Division. Wade, I think, has I don't want to speculate here. Let's just say when we see a friend, and we've known this friend for a long time, and this friend's always been a little nutty, but just a little nutty, but we love him because he's our friend. And then the little nutty goes really nutty and dark, and all of a sudden the friend doesn't start showing up as much anymore. Or he doesn't answer his phone, starts isolating a lot. We all start worrying about that friend, and that there's usual reasons for that. I'm really dancing around this because I don't want to come out and say it, but put two and two together there. That's where I think what's going on with Mark Waid. It really looks familiar. I'll just say I see it a lot in recovery. I'd like to see the BBC do a V for Vendetta series. That would be awesome, Apple Crow. I'd love to see that. But that's the same question I have for James Bond now, is like, they could make that easily. It would be very successful. Would they make it? And if they did make it, would they try to modernize it too much? And, if they made it just like the book, right, and went off of that, you could still get cleverly political and still tell a good story. I have not read Lamach. I have not read any Alan Moore novels. I have read a lot of his comic books, though. None of his novels. The last thing I read from Alan Moore was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and it was great. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is probably my favorite all-time comic. I fucking love that book so much. Yes, Gin Moulton. Isn't there a comic book that from Gaiman that was like Harry Potter years before Rowling wrote Harry Potter, Books of Magic? Yes, with Tim Hunter. And he has glasses, and he looks exactly like Harry Potter. He's got a big white owl, but he rides a skateboard. But he's also a wizard. That's he's the difference is, Harry Potter is kind of a chosen one, right? He's a chosen one because of Voldemort, but Tim Hunter is he's supposed to be not a chosen one, but he's a very powerful wizard being courted by some very powerful people. And the Books of Magic is, those powerful people coming and courting Tim Hunter, and it's very good. It's very, very good. Came out in 92 or 3. Yes, as all characters were. A lot of stuff came from Swamp Thing. John Constantine came from Swamp Thing. Yeah, Wade is having emotional issues, like severe, really punching down and trying to stop somebody from getting his comic made. That was none of his business. That's being a bully, basically. Not a good look, not good optics. Who would I cast as a live action Death or for a Sandman adaptation? For Morpheus, I would cast Rami Malek. for Mr. Robot. For death, Ruby Rose. No, just kidding. I'd have to think about that. Death has to be very cute. We know that. More. I can imagine more doing that, James Hayes. I'm surprised he hasn't gone the crowdfunding thing. Maybe he is. I mean, I haven't paid attention. So like that would be so God, if more crowdfunded something, you know how much fucking money he would make. I just don't think he knows about if he must know about it. Why? Yeah. Maybe he's still old school and like wants other people, you know, that whole ideal of getting companies to EVS talked about this last night. He was talking about going to Dynamite, and Nick Verrucci, who I know way too much about, by the way. Oh my God, there is a story behind the Boys comic book that is worth writing a book about. Just trust me on that. So Nick Verrucci is a guy who runs Dynamite Comics, and I guess EVS went up to him and wanted to do a comic book series. I think it was Cyberfrog, and he asked for like $60K up front. Nick Verrucci's like, dude, I can give you 20, something like that. You know, I can't give you 60. That's just not how these things work. And meanwhile, EVS gets like $500,000 or something like that for it. So yeah, I'm surprised Alan Moore is not crowdfunding, but you're going to see a lot more people crowdfunding now. It is proven commodity. And that really, you can still have comic shops in that, by the way. Comic shops have to get off their ass and, you know, instead of just breaking open the previews all the time, go to Indiegogo and Kickstarter and start finding your indie books there instead of previews. I would make it, that will be a point of mine when I start up ordering. If I'm going to have a little indies, a very little indie section, not big. And that's where I will go. I'll probably almost exclusively go to Kickstarter and Indiegogo to find my indies at that point, and I wouldn't even probably consider anything going into previews. As it stands now, there's a couple companies I will not even order from, so they can kiss my ass. For one, I mean, Anarctic. I used to order Anarctic Press books for Saver specific. I don't think I ever carried one. Gold Digger, I think, was the only one. Was it Gold Digger? Is that what it was called? That's that and I never read the damn book. It was just one that some of the kids liked that I ordered. That might have been the only one I put on my shelf, but I never put. Yeah, so AP's dead to me. Crowdfunding worked very well in the gaming industry. Old school CRPG came back and got funded in days on Kickstarter. Yeah, crowdfunding is it's brilliant. I love it in every way. As long as people follow through on their promises and deliver what they promised to deliver, you know, and yeah, shit happens. As long as it's in a timely manner, you know, it's cool. You know, like things happen in creation of something, you know, but like to just not, you know, or just to take off and take the money and run. Yeah, that I'm sure there will eventually be a law against it. So Aubrey Plaza can play almost anything. She can, Pen Farm Girl. Her role, you know this, Pen. Her role in Legion was written for a dude. Was written for a guy. Moore is pissed over everything, just like Avery Brooks of DS9. Yes, Moore, and that's what makes him a great writer. He is unhappy. Could you imagine a happy Alan Moore? Maybe he'll cast a happy spell on himself, and he'll be all smiling and shave his beard, and we'll all be scared. Going back to Audrey Plaza playing Delirium. Hell yes. That's good. That's good. Oh, Man of Action. There is a dramatic story behind The Boys, the creation of the comic. That is, yeah. I'll just someday it will be told. It's a cautionary tale about creators and deals, and like, just don't ever do a handshake deal with anybody ever, 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 ever. Even if it's a friend of yours for 30 years or 20 years, don't paper. Someone needs to invert time so we can get a much younger Peter Murphy to play Dream. Hell yeah, comics. Just de-age him. I'm still thinking of the death. Caitlyn Jenner. The thing is, as much TV as I watch, I don't know any young actresses' names at all. Aubrey Plaza for Bond. That's good. I like that. Have a weird pony following you around too. Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner would probably be cast as Dr. Light in the Teen Titans series as Brian Smart. Oh my God! Don't give him any ideas, Brian. Not sure how long I'll be on. Having connection issues. Just wanted to say your gift arrived today, Gary. You're much too kind and thank you. No, you are, Brian. Sorry you had to wait so long for it. So I hope you enjoyed the stuff. And I'm glad you got it. Mary, did you get your stuff today? Viking bitch, did you get your stuff today? I don't know. You might have said it in the chat. I missed it. Sorry. Yeah, well, yeah. What? Rams World. It's not my comic. If you come and visit in December, the shop will be here. But if you come before that, you said next few years. Okay, awesome. So San Fran is on my list to visit in the next few years, and your comic shop will definitely be one of my stops. Rams World, that is awesome. Please come by, identify yourself, and yes, that will be great. And you will all know where it's going to be when I know, which is soon. We started popping around looking for stuff. It's going to start out as like a pop-up until we and we'll see where it goes from there. I'll find a permanent location, or maybe where I put the pop-up is where I want my permanent location to be. If I'd live there, I'd buy comics from your shop. Ah, thanks, Mako. I don't know about, I'm not a legend. I'm just a dude. Just remembered happy doing cocaine and loving it. How can a show be allowed to go on? It's too good, says Slimmer Scott. Yeah, when a little imaginary blue unicorn's doing rails. It was so funny. I would not consider myself a comic fan, but there was a time when I read quite a lot. Sandman, Preacher, Goddess, Zombie, Spawn, The Chronicles, The Black Moon were all great. Gin Molten, those were good times for comics. Really, really good times for comics. Neil Adams' crazy theory that the Earth is expanding. Yes, Stephen Earth. I have been trapped in that conversation, and I mean, yeah, I had to stay there for a long time and listen to that stuff. But it's cool. He was actually on our bell at one point talking about that. For an advance purchase from Lloyd, $5. Thank you so much. Of course, noted. Hail Lloyd. That is awesome. Thank you. We should bring out Doomcock, like have a live appearance, like have him do like, I don't know, maybe Doomcock can work on a stage show. And he could open my store. That'd be great. Like some Doomcock vaudeville or something. He could do magic tricks and or actually cut somebody in half, or I don't know, something like that. Make it, Doomcock and the Robot Dancers. I don't know. I'm still thinking of a death actress. I'm coming up blank, but it's because I'm on a live stream. That's live stream brain fart. See, I almost said Braveheart. See, that's what happens when you go on too long. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this thing up pretty soon. I got stuff to do. Yeah, I'm getting punchy too, Bad Bunny. It's time to go. Ava Green, a young Ava Green, man of action, would have been perfect. She is great. She is great. Love Ava Green. Well, who says death has to be young? That's bullshit. Ava Green, you're right, man of action. They were beautiful comics. Absolutely beautiful comics. Beautiful art, beautiful writing, good stuff. Oh, come on. Why are you lagging? There we go. Gonna get my my Patreon video going here. Sorry for the silence there. These are our wonderful, loyal, and beautifully talented patrons who I got to talk to some of them in an exclusive chat that's on our Patreon page that I'm doing bi-weekly on Sunday. And that's an added feature. You also get, for a little as $1 a day, you could support this channel and you get to see access to some exclusive videos. $5, you get 3 comics that were exclusive to my old comic store. You get them sent to you for free. Well, of course, with the $5 donation. And then if you join the $15 tier, you get a What's in the Box, which is a mix of vintage and some new action figures, usually loose stuff that was around my store that's in my office, some comic books, the exclusive comic books from the $5 deal. You get all that stuff. You get stuff back. So, because we can't really put a ton of actual video content. I just don't have that kind of time right now. Dennis and I both work full-time jobs. And I've got a family. So I can't believe I do this much, to be honest with you. There will be more shows today. There'll be at least one more, maybe 2. So we're going to cover Better Call Saul tonight. I'm still debating on doing Lodge 49. I'm not sure. Tomorrow night's Castle Rock. Wednesday night, I think we're going to be doing another live stream just because. And then of course there's the Friday night show. Shows we got coming up, of course. And here's a picture of some of the stuff you get. It's a representation. You're not exactly going to get those, but you'll get something like that. Okay. So it's pretty cool stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. And thank you all for sticking with me in the chat. I really appreciate it. And I got to find the chat again, wherever it went. There we go. So Mary Ashby, Penn Farm Girl, Grady Broyles, Alexis Valens, Mako, Steve Ernst, Silhouetted Animator, Limek Ajax. Did I say that right? Sorry. Apple Crow, JP, Brian Smart, the official Dougie J, Penn Farm Girl, Man of Action, Bad Bunny, Lloyd, Jin Moulton, Omari Daniels, I saw in there a ways back, Slur Me Scott, Rams World. I'm thanking everybody in the chat. If you're new, this is something I still do and will continue to do as long as I can. Because if you guys took the time to come in here and say hi, Comics Division, word on the street, he does videos. That's what I heard anyway. He makes them once in a while. Subscribe to Comics Division. He's awesome. James Hayes, Silver Spike. How are you, Silver Spike? I know I just saw somebody else I missed in there too. Maybe not. That's almost as high as I can go. YouTube Vlog Life. What's up? Okay. If I missed anybody, I am sorry. My apologies. Daniel Nolan. And Tara Aiva or Aliva. I'll get that right one of these days. Tara, you're wonderful. Thanks for putting up with me. Thank you all for coming in the chat. You guys are wonderful. You guys are the best chat on YouTube. And I can't wait. I could really do these like every day. Someday that might happen. So thank you again for showing up. We'll see you at the next show. Have a great rest of your day, and may the small folks sing songs of your greatness. Ciao.